Tucson, Arizona, August 1959. By 7:30 in the morning, the heat was already sitting on the street the way it sits in Tucson in August. Like something that had been there all night and had no intention of leaving. The bank car stopped in front of Evelyn Carter's house at 7:44. Two men got out. A deputy followed in a separate car and parked behind them. The man with the folder was from Central Arizona Savings and Loan. His name was Harold Baines. He wore a short-sleeved dress shirt and carried a leather folder with the bank's seal pressed into the cover. He walked to the porch without hurrying. A locksmith got out of a third car and stood on the sidewalk with a ring of keys in one hand and a leather tool bag in the other. Inside the house, Evelyn Carter was folding school clothes into a cardboard box. She was 30 years old, and she had not slept in 3 days. She heard the cars and did not go to the window. She already knew. Her son Danny was in the hallway behind her. He was 8 years old. "Mom," he said. She kept folding. "Mom, are they taking Daddy's house?" She set the shirt flat in the box and stood up straight before she turned around. Across the street, a large car sat in the shade of a block wall outside Denny's garage. A man in a canvas shirt and tan Stetson had left it there 40 minutes earlier because the mechanic said the left rear brake drum needed looking at and it would take an hour. He had bought coffee from the counter of a small grocery 2 doors down and come back to wait. He was sitting on a low wall with a road map folded across his knee when the bank car turned onto Waverly Street. He set the road map down. He watched. Nobody recognized him yet. Here is the story of that house, and the woman who almost lost it, and the man who was sitting on a wall. Paul Carter grew up in Yuma. His father worked the irrigation canals. Paul was a carpenter by trade, learned framing and finish work in his early 20s, and was good at it. The way his father was good with water and grade, the same instinct for how things should hold together. He could look at a wall and see the studs behind it. He could look at a floor plan and see the room. He enlisted in the Marines in 1950. He was 26 years old. Before his orders came through, he found the house on Waverly Street. Small, white stucco, a covered porch, a dirt yard with one mesquite tree. 2 bedrooms and a third room, framed but unfinished. Nothing but studs and a concrete floor. He signed the land contract with Central Arizona Savings and Loan in November of 1950, 3 weeks before he shipped for training. Monthly payments of $62. He paid 3 months in advance. He told Evelyn he would finish the back room when he came home. He was going to drywall it, put in a window facing the yard, build shelves on the east wall. He drew it out on a piece of paper before he left. A careful pencil drawing, room dimensions noted in his own handwriting at the margins, and he put the drawing in his toolbox in the unfinished room. The toolbox was dark green metal, Army surplus. He had burned his initials into the handle with a wood-burning iron. PAC Paul Allen Carter. He pressed them in deep so they would last. His letters came from Korea every week and a half, sometimes 2. He wrote that the hills there looked like the hills north of Tucson in the dry season, except they went on too long in every direction. He wrote that the cold was unlike any cold he had words for. He wrote that when he got home, he was going to finish the back room and put a window in it and sit in the morning sun on the floor and not move for a week. He died at Outpost Vegas in March of 1953. He was 28 years old. The Marines held that position for 8 days against everything thrown at it. Paul Carter did not walk out of it. The telegram came on a Wednesday. Evelyn was at the kitchen table. Danny was 2 years old and asleep in the next room. She read it and set it face down on the table and sat without moving for a long time. Then she got up and walked down the hall to the unfinished room and stood in the doorway and looked at the toolbox on the concrete floor. She did not move it. Paul's military death benefits were delayed 14 months by a records error. During that time, Evelyn worked what she could find, ironing for neighbors, alterations, cleaning 2 offices on Congress Street 3 mornings a week. She made the payments. She was short a few dollars some months and made it right before the grace period closed. Then in the winter of 1958, Ruth got sick. Ruth was her daughter, 6 years old, a cough that would not clear, 2 weeks of doctor visits, a hospital stay that cost $340. The money set aside for the spring payments went to the hospital. She missed 3 payments, $62 each, $186 behind. She went to Central Arizona Savings and Loan in February and asked Harold Baines for an extension. Baines gave her 60 days, written on letterhead, in the tone of a man keeping a careful record of his patients. The 60 days passed. Then the bank accelerated the note. That meant they were no longer asking for 3 missed payments. They were demanding the entire remaining balance. Every dollar left on the land contract, plus late fees, court filing costs, and the bank's legal expenses for initiating the foreclosure action. The total was $1,860. The number was not large to a bank. To Evelyn Carter, standing in a kitchen with a cardboard box and 2 children in the hallway, it was the price of the moon. Harold Baines knocked at 7:51. Evelyn opened the door. Baines held the folder at his side and did not offer his hand. "Mrs. Carter, this property is no longer in your legal possession. The foreclosure was filed and recorded Monday morning. I have the transfer documents here." "Can I have until Friday?" she said. "Mrs. Carter?" He said it with the flatness of a man who has rehearsed it. The bank does not hold houses for memories. The deputy stood on the porch step behind Baines, hat in both hands. "I'm sorry, ma'am," the deputy said quietly. "I'm only here to keep the peace." The locksmith was already crouching at the front door lock with his tool bag open on the porch boards. Mrs. Hanson from next door was on her porch with a dish towel she had stopped using. A boy on a bicycle had put 1 foot down at the curb. An older man walking south on Waverly had stopped on the sidewalk with his hands in his pockets. Danny had come to the screen door, one hand on the frame. "Is the toolbox going too?" Danny said. He was not asking anyone specific. Nobody answered him. The man across the street set his road map on the wall. He stood up and crossed Waverly Street without hurrying. Canvas shirt, tan Stetson, road dust on his boots. He walked past the locksmith. He walked past the deputy. He stopped in front of Harold Baines. "What's owed?" he said. Baines looked at him. "This is bank business." The large man looked at him with the patience of someone who has a great deal of it and no interest in spending all of it this morning. "What's owed?" Baines placed the face then, slowly. The locksmith had placed it before Baines reached the yard. The boy on the bicycle had placed it. The deputy was placing it now. Baines was the last, and when it landed, he stood a little differently than he had been standing. $1,860, including all fees and costs. Evelyn came down the porch steps. "No," she said it quietly and flat. She was not looking at Baines. She was looking at him. "I will not have a stranger buy back the roof my husband died trying to keep." He turned to her. "Then don't call it buying a roof. Call it putting a Marine's house back where he left it. I don't take charity. I know you don't. Then you should go back across the street. You can argue with me after your children are back inside, Mrs. Carter. Right now, we are settling this." Her jaw came forward. She looked at Danny at the screen door. She looked at the receipt in Baines's folder. She looked at the man in front of her. She stepped back. He turned to Baines. "Call your bank president." Baines said the president was unavailable until noon. "Make him available, Mr. Wayne." Baines said the name carefully. "The way you say something you have just confirmed is real." The foreclosure transfer was filed and recorded with the Pima County Recorder's Office Monday morning. A cash payment at this door does not reverse a legal title transfer. That process requires, "Then reverse the process," he said. "You filed it. file it back. Baines looked at him. He looked at the deputy. He looked at the people on the sidewalk who had stopped pretending to do anything else. He went to the neighbor's porch and asked to use their telephone. The call took 6 minutes. When he came back, something behind his expression had shifted. The bank will not reinstate the title until the county recorder's office processes a formal withdrawal filing. That cannot happen until Monday. He looked down the block toward the neighbor's telephone. Then, call him again, Mr. Wayne. I cannot compel the bank president to. While Baines walked back to make that second call, tell me where you're watching from tonight. Drop your state in the comments. I want to know how far this story reaches. Call him again, he said. Tell him I am standing on Waverly Street with $1,900 in cash, and I will be standing here when he picks up the phone. Baines walked back to the neighbor's porch. The second call lasted 8 minutes. When Baines came back, his voice was flat and careful. The bank will accept the payment and file the withdrawal today. He was not buying the house. He was buying back the morning the bank had taken from her. He took the wallet from his back pocket, brown leather, worn soft at the fold. He put it on the hood of Baines's car and opened it and counted bills onto the metal, flat, deliberate, one at a time, in the morning heat on the hood of a bank car on Waverly Street in Tucson, in front of whoever was there to see it. He counted $900. He pushed the stack forward. Count it. Baines counted once, then again. His hands were not entirely steady the second time. The extra 40 covers your locksmith and your filing fee and your time driving out here this morning. Baines wrote the receipt on bank letterhead using the hood of his own car as a desk. Account of Paul and Evelyn Carter, paid in full. Foreclosure action withdrawn. Title to be restored in full to Evelyn Carter. He dated it August 1959 and pressed his bank seal into the bottom of the page and signed it. Then he looked at the locksmith. Give her the keys. The locksmith looked at Baines. Baines nodded. The locksmith unclipped the house key from his ring, the original, the one from the door, and walked to the porch and held it out. The man said, "Give them to her directly." The locksmith walked to Evelyn and placed the key in her hand. She took it with both hands. Danny pushed the screen door open. "Does that mean we can go back inside?" he said. The man looked at him. "It means your daddy's house is still your daddy's house." Danny ran. They heard his feet on the hallway floor. Heard them hit the concrete of the unfinished room. He came back 30 seconds later, holding the hammer. Dark wood handle, initials burned deep, PAC, and held it with both hands at his chest, the way a boy holds something he was afraid he was about to lose. Nobody said anything for a moment. Evelyn stepped off the porch. "I'll pay you back," she said, "every dollar. Give me your name and an address and I'll—" He shook his head once. "Mrs. Carter." He said her name the way you say it when you want it heard as itself. "Your husband held Outpost Vegas for 8 days. This country has owed him longer than this bank has held that note. Today, one line of that debt gets paid." She looked at him. There were things she wanted to say, and she was not going to say them on her own porch. He touched the brim of his hat. He walked back across the street to Denny's garage. The boy on the bicycle said something to the old man on the sidewalk. The old man nodded slowly. Evelyn stood at the edge of the porch with the key in both hands and watched the car pull west into the morning heat. Baines gathered his folder. The locksmith closed his tool bag. The deputy put his hat back on. They left Waverly Street and did not come back. Inside, Danny set the hammer carefully back in the toolbox and sat down on the concrete floor of the unfinished room. Evelyn Carter kept the house. She took a job with the Tucson School District in 1961, front office at an elementary school 6 blocks from Waverly Street. She was there 19 years. She made every payment on the land contract until it was paid off in full in 1966, and the title came to her free and clear. She never missed a payment again. She did not speak about August 1959 publicly. When people asked, she said a man had helped, and she had paid what she owed, and that was the full shape of it. She did not use the name. Danny Carter became a carpenter, not from a class, from the toolbox. He spent 2 years taking each tool out, understanding what it was for, and putting it back. In the summer of 1972, he finished the back room, drywalled it, put in a window facing the yard, built the shelves on the east wall. The same shelves Paul had drawn on the folded paper at the bottom of the toolbox, measurements noted in his father's handwriting at the margins. He used Paul's hammer for every nail. Ruth became a nurse. Evelyn died in 1991. She left the house to Danny. In the kitchen drawer, under a cloth, her family found 4 things together. The original land contract signed by Paul Carter in November 1950. The receipt from Central Arizona Savings and Loan, August 1959, paid in full. The bank seal pressed into the page, the folded pencil drawing of the back room, Paul's handwriting at the margins, the measurements still clear after 40 years, and the house key, the original front door key, the one the locksmith had placed in Evelyn's hands. She had written on the back of the receipt in her own hand, "Nobody knows exactly when." 4 words, the day it stayed. The house is still on Waverly Street. The porch is newer. The paint is different. The back room has been finished since 1972, with a window facing the yard, exactly where the drawing said it should go. In the shed, on the second shelf, there is a dark green toolbox with PAC burned into the handle. The hammer is inside it. The folded drawing is inside it. And wrapped in brown paper at the bottom, under everything else, is a receipt from August 1959. Danny does not take it out often, but on the day each year, he opens the shed and opens the toolbox and holds the receipt a moment and puts it back. His father drew the room. His father's son built it. If this story reached you tonight, share it with someone who still believes a house is more than a building. Where are you watching from? Drop your state in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't yet. There are more stories coming, because some men crossed the street when crossing the street was the only thing that needed doing. They counted cash on a car hood and touched the brim of their hat and drove away before anyone could make a ceremony of it. And the houses they saved are still standing, and the lights are still on.